What else would be common barriers? What else would be common barriers to success?
I guess just like how do you like what do you qualify as a physical activity? And then how, I feel like a lot of it probably happens in people's personal time. So I guess probably the same as like privacy, but
Mm-hmm.
just how do you collect it?
Parameters and collection of where to share it, how to collect it, where to share it. Perfect. And then any tweaks and adjustments to the tactics or anything else we want to add under where it's already being done? Or common barriers.
I don't know. Do we want to simplify it? Like that seems like
I know it seems kind of,
Yeah,
I mean, I had to read it more than once. So I'd be like, what are they talking about? It is very long.
advocate for the development of data collection and benchmarking systems that include, at a minimum, the measurement of physical activity across types of occupation and industry, worker, race, and gender, and physical. Maybe instead of at a minimum, with hopes of including the measurement.
With hopes. I like
Broad, broaden
that.
it.
With hopes of including. That might be a little bit too vague.
Right. Any data?
Anything. Um,
Do we, the only thing I really
information.
would like to add is like in social economic environments within the Kansas City region. I know the strategy is Kansas City specific, but would we want the tactic to then zero in on it as well, or do you feel like that transcends because the strategy is Kansas City region specific already?
I feel like the tactic is speaking to that strategy, so it's basically already
Okay.
said. I don't know if you want to make it longer by putting that in there.
I know that's we need to simplify it, but
Yeah. I don't know that I'd change anything. I think that if if the strategy is and the tactic is saying what we need it to say,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, other than I don't know, I feel like it it might be pretty much to the point of what they'd
Yeah.
like that data collection to look like.
Is anyone else? Any way we can? I'd like it to be simplified, but I don't really
Yeah.
know how
Yeah.
to further
I mean, that's what I was thinking
shorten it.
initially, but then I don't know how to further simplify it without taking away part of what it says. And I think that the intent is for that measurement of activity to go across all those.
Yeah. I do think the more I read it, the for
Mhm,
us, the part to
mhm.
zero in on is the advocating for it. Not the like creation, but the advocating of
Advocate
development or
development of data
um
collection. Mm.
Anyone else? I don't want to rush us off this. Okay, well, we can come back to it so you think on it. So tactic number 2, identify and partner with appropriate agencies on the data collection needs relative to physical activity among the U.S. workforce. I would like to go ahead before we dive into it and propose that that's changed from U.S. workforce to Kansas City regional workforce. Does everyone agree with that shift in that tactic statement, or? Okay, I see some head nods.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that's good. Yep.
Identify and partner with appropriate agencies on the data collection needs relative to physical activity among the Kansas City regional workforce. Is this already being done? Well, we got the Kansas City Chamber doing a little bit for us. And I think on some like probably internal, there's some data collection, I would imagine, with some companies on physical activity among their like individual populations and workforce.
Mhm. I was going to say,
might
we
not be-
may even from a corporate fitness works standpoint have some,
Mhm.
but you know, specific to certain companies that we work with.
Yeah, and
Some data collection, but
yeah, and I was just thinking also some companies that, you know, incentivize like
yep.
free
Mhm.
work day, you know, free PTO days with such and such activity, but that's a very broad
Yep.
data collection point. So is it already being done? Yes,
Mhm.
yes and no.
Some. Yeah,
some.
some.
Common barriers to success, I would say privacy concerns. Once again, that standardized measurement that we're looking for, because companies are probably pulling that data in a very different way. Some employees might be self-reporting to insurance companies or third parties.
And if they're self-reporting, it may not be accurate.
Accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other barriers to success? I think that other barrier is like finding what agencies are doing the data collection, because it says to partner with appropriate agencies.
Mhm.
What agencies in the Kansas City region are doing this already? So identifying those agencies.
And agencies, are you meaning like companies or like a vendor agency?
That's my question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finding if it's a vendor or a company specific, and who is like the best agencies to partner with to find this data collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the business journal, the KC Business Journal, that application, the Healthiest Employer application, that Springbuck is who kind of does all the evaluation or data collection. It is filled out by applicants. But it depends on how like detailed data collection are you wanting. I mean, they just kind of report, yeah, my employees, you know, are active, or we provide physical activity options for my employees, but how detailed?
Yeah, we should put them under, is this already being done? Because they are on some scale doing it.
Right.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's a great example. Thank you for that share. That's great. Wonderful. Anyone else we know that is already doing this?
I guess I was kind of interpreting, oh my gosh, interpreting this one as like agencies that do data collection in general, if this was going to be like a separate maybe initiative. I don't know, but we've worked, I think, with My Sidewalk in the past. I don't know if they still have a big presence in Kansas City, but if there was going to be like a new and separate push to collect data, I don't know. That's just where my brain went.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to make note
Yeah.
of.
Well, and part of the tactic does say identify and partner with. Identify. So I think part of that tactic is identifying who those agencies are.
Mhm.
So Grace, my awareness of My Sidewalk is like the city uses it and Bike Walk KC, and they use it more as a platform to report their own data collection. I don't know if My Sidewalk actually does the research.
Mm.
I've always been a little confused by what they do, to be perfectly honest. I just see it, I think data, and that's as far as I go. I'm like, okay, sure, you do something.
That'll be good to keep note of in case, as we, go down this strategy and trying to implement this tactic specifically, having that information on hand here will be valuable, I think. Perfect. Anything else we'd like to add to this? Any other tweaks or adjustments before moving on to the next one? Before we move off that page, did
Oh.
any additional ads on that first one? I know we had talked through, but I didn't want to rush anybody off. No. Okay. Let's move on to the third tactic. Sorry, Natalie, I'm making you switch back and forth. So monitor actions that companies are implementing to promote physical activity and reduce prolonged sitting. Is this already being done? And if so, who's doing it well?
I mean, how do you monitor actions, I guess? Like, what is that?
Monitor actions that companies are implementing. Reduce prolonged stay. I would say,
What about to reduce, like, what about offering standing desks or something like that kind
or
of
ergonomic education.
ergonomic, yeah.
Having on-site fitness centers, offering opportunities for movement throughout their workday, promoting things like walking meetings.
Yep.
I would say yes, it's already being done.
Yep.
There's definitely business and corporations that are doing this well and promoting that. But I think a lot of like commons to barriers to success is, funding or,
Funding for sure.
that, for lack of a better way to say this, that permission, the trickle down effect of the permission from the supervisor who, that, oh, these walking meetings are okay. We can do these going into the gym during the workday over your lunch break is okay and allowed. So that senior buy-in, leadership buy-in, culture, perfect. one of the tweaks and adjustments I'd like to propose is where it says monitor actions that companies are implementing. I'd like to add actions and initiatives. Or actions and,
Programming or something.
yeah, something that's offerings
Mhm.
to better encompass these, that even if it's not like readily tracked data that we can find, it's opportunities that are being provided to the employees and to those on site or hybrid or at home to promote that physical activity and reduce prolonged sitting.
Can you repeat your wording? Sorry, I was finishing a
Yeah,
thought.
I'm gonna kind of mash together what Michelle said and say monitor actions, programmings, and initiatives
Yeah.
that companies are implementing to promote physical activity and reduce prolonged sitting. Michelle, do you like that?
I think that sounds good.
Trying to encompass,
Right. All of it.
yeah, all of it.
Without making a huge paragraph.
Yes, yeah. Because I know some initiatives aren't necessarily hard and fast rules. They can say, take a walk, break over lunch, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not a tangible that they track.
Right.
But it is an initiative. Or, there are programs that they track to help reduce that prolonged sitting. Like,
Yes.
team challenges and things like that, or actions of
Stretch
scheduling,
breaks.
yeah, scheduling stretch breaks or things to as a team get up and move. Yeah, so I feel like encompassing some of those different types helps add some clarity to what that monitoring actions mean. With that in mind, any other examples of who's doing it well or what is being done well? I think walking paths on business campuses, I think of Dairy Farmers, they have a walking path around their building.
Great
Places like that.
old building used to have a huge pond and a walking path around their pond.
Yeah.
Now they're off of 435. I don't think it's quite
Mm.
so relaxing.
Well, shoot. But yeah, I do those, and those I feel like are more the initiatives. They're providing the space, but not necessarily saying, do this now at this time, that action component. Yeah, I like that.
There
Any-
is a walk score. I can't remember exactly the site, but you can look up what your walking work score is, like how,
I can pull.
Oh,
do you know what that?
It's in our certification, I
Grace?
think.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I think that's where it's either your the Healthy KC certification or it's the Healthiest Employer certification, but
would the
they have
walk
used,
score fit really well under our tactic number 2 as a data point? Also,
and that would be good.
as
'Cause
well
it'll
as
at least
tactic
give
3?
them an opportunity to check and see how walkable. You have sidewalks and
Yeah. Paths or even
yes.
putting in a little path. I like that.
So I should walk score on the previous tactic. You think?
I would do this one and the previous. I feel like it kind of fits under both. Do you all agree?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
as far as who does it well, I know you mentioned Dairy Farmers. Did you say someone else?
I would say
Did. I just don't know how usable it is now.
Community America has a good walk path. most downtown businesses, or the ones that are in the loop anyway, have for Kansas City, a high walk score, I would say.
Yes. All the sidewalks and accessibility to all the bikes and
There's also, it just made me think of Burns McDonnell has bicycles available for their employees to check out.
Oh, I love that. Is that like a bike KC rack, or are they specific
No, it's
to
their
Burns
own.
and McDonald?
Yeah, it's their own bikes. They purchase them and maintain them. Well, we help them maintain them. That's the only reason why I remembered that. I was like, oh yeah, we do that.
They probably have a really high walk score as well, with being
I mean, they have
on
good
Ward
sidewalks
Parkway
and
and
yeah, it's on Ward Parkway. They have good sidewalks. A lot of people do walk over there on their lunch breaks for sure.
I know by KC, if you partner with them or help sponsor them, like we help sponsor them and help get it set up years ago. Our employees all have a certain number of free bike hours that you can use. And it really is pretty reasonable to rent a bike.
awesome.
Used to take bike. We make everybody ride a bike to a meeting and off location, like a lunch or whatever, but we'd make
Oh, that'd be
everybody
so fun.
we'd make everybody bike there. You couldn't drive your car. You couldn't if you were not a good bicyclist, you could walk, but
Yeah. So
but
not
no
too far for
scooters.
lunch.
No scooters, no light rail, no none of that. You had to use your bike or you had to use your legs and walk.
I love that. That's so fun.
I have to jump to another meeting, but great to see everyone, and I'll see you next month, I guess.
Yes, it's good to see you,
Awesome.
Grace.
You too. Bye.
See you
Bye.
later.
Yeah, I think we got some really good examples with this tactic. For number 4, provide organizational level data collection using environmental audits that assess workplace characteristics, physical, physiosocial, and cultural and social economic environments. Speaking of Bike KC partnership, is this someone that probably has this like organizational level data of corporations that have partnerships with them and bikes on site at their businesses?
They should. I believe there is a way to track how many it wouldn't be steps, but how many hours, maybe how many miles. I'm not sure if they track it in miles or minutes or how they track it, but I know they have some sort of data collection and what companies, if they have partnerships with those companies, because our employees, in order to get that free certain number of hours of use, they have to use their Blue KC email.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other examples that come to mind?
And her average would be ridiculous.
Who is one of, I'm curious who the main run or community sponsor would be, community run partner. Oh my goodness. It's totally left my brain. So maybe like Hospital Hill, who is the run coordinator, like the company that typically runs those run events?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Oh, like like
Like a
the
sponsor.
KC
Yeah.
Sporting Commission, or
Yes,
like the
yes, thank you. I'm like, I.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
that's it.
Then.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and Garmin is a big
Yes.
Mhm.
sponsor, the Casey Sports Commission for sure.
Yeah.
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 That's all.
There's
And
another
Park
small.
and Rec level
Yes.
races also. They have a lot of races, triathlons, that get corporate buy-in or so many
Mhm.
registrations for an individual organizational level participant list.
Mhm.
Um,
In City Parks and Rec, I bet they have some sort of rec track that they
Yeah.
could pull up some of that data.
yeah.
Portal. I hate that. Well, it'd be fine if you had one portal. right?
Data collection.
If you got a portal. for
Using an
that,
environmental audit, that would also be that walk score.
Yes.
I can't
Mhm.
answer my customers at work alone. So.
Natalie, would our infrastructure team have some data on this with the environmental audits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Bike Walk works with a lot of like neighborhood associations and sometimes businesses. They do walk audits for environments or certain parts of the city, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I was
Like, if
just
they
thinking
do that-
about their recent bike tracking that they did in a certain area. I didn't know if any of that was aligning with like nearby businesses or high business areas, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they do some studies, like say they're gonna put in a bike lane and there's
Yeah.
backlash that it's gonna like bring down business in those areas. They can do pre and post counts that show that it does not do that.
Okay.
I don't know if they really have been coordinating
Yeah.
with a lot of organizations. That might be something they could potentially do.
Yeah, that we could partner with them on. I just am zeroing in on that environmental audit side and
They did give
of
the
this.
example, I think they did some, they improved admission, like the farmers market area and made a street one way and provided more pedestrian infrastructure, and they did counts. And then business sampling, and business went up in that area. So they presented that and now they're making more improvements to that area for pedestrian infrastructure. Facilitate
Oh.
more physical activity and connectivity with the bike paths.
So that's organizational level for the farmers
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you could apply that same principle to a higher like business dense area, like Corporate Woods or something like that. I was trying to think of somewhere that has a lot of like, or the plaza, or, you know, an area that has a lot of like business specific. Infrastructure. Do you think that ties in loosely? Potentially. Okay. What are some common barriers to our success with this? Mhm. Access to the organizational level data. And then any tweaks or adjustments to this tactic? for me, it's very like, it sounds very straightforward, but I'm having a hard time pinpointing how to apply it. I
I
don't
would
know the
agree with
fix.
that.
I don't know the
I
fix
would
to
agree
it.
with that.
That's just
I don't know.
my I don't know the fix to it. That's just my statement. Michelle, do you agree as well?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Any recommendations on how we could change the language or adjust its approach? I mean, we could adjust it a little bit and tweak it so that it is easier for us to like
All right, so.
create an approach for.
Well, you said you were back people. I do need you to look at this one.
What about like provide support?
It's at the top of the checklist.
Um,
I'm having trouble like
Well,
picturing this and rewording it to
mhm.
get what you're saying.
It makes sense. I think we're just overthinking it because it's just a long.
That's
it's
probably
a lot of
true.
words.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just a lot of longer words like organizational, environmental, psychosocial, social, economic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my only thing would be to instead of just providing that organizational level data collection, like provide and support collection of organizational level data,
I was thinking.
or something to that extent where
So where I was,
it gives us additional avenues or
I needed to change the total order.
but we can leave it as is. And I mean, we can always revisit these at any point down the road if we need to adjust them as we go as well.
I'll show you.
An update as we zero in on how to put these into action.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on. I think we have 2 more. Or do we have 3 more? Is there a 7 on this one?
Nope, these are the last two.
Okay. Advanced physical activity, environmental assessment and improvement planning tools for workplace to help companies build environments that support active, healthy living as a behavior. I mean, I think we've listed a few that are already doing variations of assessment on this as well already. Whether building on things like the Chamber of Commerce certification and walk score and all of that, or just helping to market and boost those existing platforms and drive business and industry to those platforms to assess their physical activity environment. Common barriers to success, I would say awareness,
Mhm.
a dedicated person that's assessing it,
Sure.
and then once that assessment occurs, the action step of who does it fall to improve and to come up with the plan for improvement.
So when I attended, no, I'm sorry, now I got.
any other common barriers or,
There's a Fitwell certification.
mm,
That I know we're using those tools and requirements as we're building our new building.
oh, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, that's good info to have too.
They want lots of live plants around for, healthy oxygen and just
Mhm.
lots of outdoor sitting spaces, think spaces.
Yeah, the natural light and
Yes.
the, oh, those, more like comfort work spots where it's
Mhm.
a comfortable chair away
Yeah.
from your desk. The workstations or yeah, away from your desk, little corners and nooks.
Yeah.
I know are more popular in workspaces anymore.
Right. And the open space, conversation spaces.
Mhm.
And then they push the standing desk.
Mhm.
And the walking desks with the walking
And
pads.
walking pad, that would be
Yeah.
great.
I've heard of those being more common as well.
We have 5 of those throughout the building that employees can reserve and walk through or
Mhm.
use. And then you just log into your computer.
Are they pretty busy?
It goes in phases when the weather's bad. Yes. Otherwise, everybody tries to get outside, get some fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, that's usually what I push. Get outside,
Yeah,
get some fresh air, get some vitamin D.
definitely.
And then they also have the bikes. We tested out kind of recumbent bike type, and they're like the standing desk, the walking desk, but they're bikes.
I've seen those.
Mhm.
You'll have to let me know how.
They still need to work on those a little bit. I think
Oh no.
we tested several of them out, and they just don't they don't fit,
Mm,
are not adjustable enough to fit all height sizes.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
like they
yeah.
were too small for the men because their legs would hit the ground. They were
Mhm.
too tall for women, or it shifted you forward, so
Mm.
your lumbar was just a little out of whack. It just wasn't very comfortable. So
Mm. Yeah, I wonder if with those it's more of a standard height of like 5'6" to 5'8" or something like that, where it's this very narrow height that it accommodates.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of what they base it on, but I think they went a little too short.
Oh,
Because I'm in that 5'6", 5'8" window,
uh-huh.
and the leg wise was fine, but it just shifted you forward too much, so you were
Oh.
just at more of an arch.
Oh,
Ew. Doesn't sound good
ouch.
at all.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it was not very comfortable, not at all.
Mhm.
Darn.
But
Well,
I gave them lots of information.
Well, you know.
Good.
Whether they wanted it or not.
get someone with ergonomics in here on this, working on this recumbent bike
Like
desk.
somebody else needs to work on that.
Yes, we need to regroup.
That's wonderful that they're doing all of that though. That's
Mhm.
Yes,
incredible.
they're getting out there.
Yeah,
They're coming up with other options, which is good.
I love it. I feel like this tactic is all encompassing, don't you?
Mhm.
Any tweaks or adjustments we need to add to it?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I don't
It's
think
pretty
so.
straightforward. All right, final one. Yay. Plan and conduct a national oh my god,
Oh my gosh.
longitudinal study of workplace physical activity programming, engagement, and outcomes. So my first suggestion is change national
I was
to
gonna say KC
regional.
Yeah, regional. Kansas City regional.
Study. Yeah, that would
Is
be
anybody
my,
doing this? I
I don't think so.
haven't heard of anything that's, really looking at all.
I haven't either. I think it's on a more like company level, not
Mhm.
necessarily an entire regional level.
Right.
Mhm.
Natalie, does any come to mind for you?
Not really. And as far as like our group's role, I don't really see us being the ones to plan and conduct, but we might feel like
So we also
Do
need
we need
someone
to change this from plan and conduct to
find someone to plan and conduct.
to advocate for
yeah,
a
Maybe
regional
that's
study?
it. Maybe that's a big job, right? Like that's
Yeah.
I
And
almost
I
Could
think
wonder if
we could do a
Mark
sample
might
size
be able
maybe.
to do something like this.
Yeah.
right. Well, and like ah, the Blue Association, all Blues plans are individually owned, so it's like a franchise, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So we gather kind of, if we have a random question or just curious of, what other Blues plans are doing as far as physical activity or wellness programming, then we just send out an email and it just kind of goes to all Blues plans, and then their wellness coordinators answer and just respond back. So every once in a while we'll do kind of like a little survey,
Mhm.
so to speak, and have several questions that we'll ask, or we'll get surveys sent to us, and I answer other Blues plans what we're doing here. But I don't know that, I'm thinking of the Pulsinellis or the Burns, all the ones that have just different satellite companies outside of the KC area.
Right, yeah.
I'm sure I know there's one overall wellness coordinator, but within there's going to be other wellness champions at each satellite company. So what are they doing differently in Chicago than they do in California? Or,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think similar to, as you said, I mean, within Corporate Fitness Works, we know within the Kansas City region, those workplace physical activity are those programming, engagement opportunities, outcomes, all of that. But as far as a regional study, that might be a little outside of the KCPA's bandwidth.
right.
But I think advocating for it would be a great approach.
Yeah.
To advocate and support an
Mhm.
maybe even
It'd be interesting to
study
see.
and implementation of workplace physical
Yes.
activity.
That sounds better.
Advocate for the regional study and implementation of workplace physical activity. Because even if we can't get a study going, we can help drive education and information on the benefits of programming, engagement, and outcome, and like tracking outcomes on a individual corporation level.
And sharing resources or what others are doing.
Yeah. I agree with that. Natalie, did you catch all that?
Maybe not. I don't think I have order.
Advocate for and support implementation of. I would flip. So advocate for a Kansas City regional longitudinal study and implementation of workplace physical activity programming. So just flip where that implementation is, because I think we want to take it a step back from even a study of it and more just like a promotion of it and like the benefits of implementing it. Michelle, is that what you were thinking as
Yes.
well on that language?
Yes.
Lori, how are you feeling on it?
I think that's good. I think it makes sense to do that.
Since the study is going to be a hard part for us to implement, we can
Yeah.
definitely drive and advocate for implementation of it.
Yeah, I think
Even
that
if
makes
we
sense.
can't, even if we can't do a study on it. Perfect. Okay. Anything else to add on that one? It's a little bare bones, but I feel like the implementation component adds a lot of meat to what we can do in our next steps. Barriers, I would say funding, resources, manpower.
All of those things.
Time.
Yeah, time.
Time.
Yep.
All of the above.
The adjustment would include implementation to better advocate. Yep, perfect. Wonderful. Okay, I know we're coming right up on time also. So the exciting news is we finally have moved through our strategies and tactics.
Oh,
Several
wow,
months
really?
later. So from here, Natalie, you want to talk a little bit about next steps and what happens now?
Yeah, first off, I think I'll compile a document of all the changes we made and just have everyone look at it and kind of edit in case I made some mistakes. Or maybe if as you're reading it, it doesn't make sense, send those comments to me and we can kind of go back to the drawing board on those.
Perfect.
And then as a group, we'll start the process of maybe going back to our initial, where we did the ranking of the strategies and then start narrowing down which ones we would like to focus on for our first implementation project.
Very exciting. Getting to the action phase of this. Wonderful. Okay. So we'll be on the lookout for that document in the coming weeks. Would you like us to ideally review that ahead of next month's meeting, or will we just take a final look at that during the meeting?
I mean, it'd probably be helpful because it's a pretty long list, so at least
Perfect.
a little ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. All right. We will all be on the lookout for that. Thank you for compiling all of that. It's a lot of data.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for everyone's feedback and contributions to this. I think we have some great points for as we move forward into the stages on where we go from here. And I'm excited. I'm excited for these next steps and moving into that action phase of this.
Yes.
Sounds wonderful.
And I will see you all then in a month.
Okay.
Everyone have a
All
great
right.
July.
Yes, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay,
See you
bye,
later.
everybody.
Bye-bye.